The sounds of our first alcoholic drink podcast.
I love this.
Cheers.
Love it. Cheers, everybody.
Welcome to the first Sips and Clips After Hours.
In this episode of Sips and Clips, we chat with Shiran Miller, an assistant editor and editor who shares how she found her way into becoming a board member for the Motion Picture Editors Guild, or Local 700. She reflects on her career path, starting as an assistant in unscripted content, transitioning to scripted, then back into unscripted, and ultimately landing her place in scripted work. We explore the importance of unions, the negotiation process, and how freelancers can access health insurance and pensions. Yes, it is the first Sips and Clips After Hours.
After dark.
My name is Leanne McFalls, and we unfortunately are missing the great Michael Schusterman today, but our sound mixer, Zach Griffin, has been so nice to fill in. Zach, you want to introduce yourself?
Wow. Hello. Yes. For people that haven't heard my episode on the podcast, I am also an editor and an assistant editor, and I have giant shoes to fill for Michael. I'm just happy to be here to help try and relieve some of the question burden from Leanne. So
We have a special guest today, Shiran Miller. Is that how you pronounce?
Yep, Shiran Miller.
Great. And Shiran, how would you introduce yourself?
I'm a television and feature film editor. I'm in ACE. Been in the industry in LA since 2009. And I also serve on the board of directors of the Editors Guild.
So today we are going to dive in a little bit. We're going to make a very deep dive into IATSE and the union. We talked a little bit about it on episode 2, but Shiran is here to give us all the ins and outs of it for anyone who wants to get involved in the union, why you want to get involved in the union, what is the union, all of that fun stuff. But as it was hinted at before, of course, we got to discuss what we're sipping on. So we'll let Shiran go first.
Well, right now I first started sipping on what was given to me here today, which is Simply Spiked Apple Cranberry. I must say it's pretty good. I've never tried it before.
It's not
There
bad.
are
It's not
some
bad.
some spiked beverages like that where the alcohol really leaves a bad aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the case here. So I'm very impressed.
and this is simply from the like juice brand, Simply, that they have a spiked range of stuff.
Yeah, so it's the same brand that does like the Simply Lemonade,
Okay.
the fancy lemonade that you see in the stores, and they have a spiked brand. And usually they do have a Simply Lemonade spiked. So that is their like original, but I am one who likes to explore different flavors. So I was like, apple cranberry, let's try that, which is what I am. I'm also sipping on a Simply Spiked apple cranberry.
And how would you describe it?
It tastes like apple cranberry juice with alcohol in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it. I guess I could tell there's alcohol in it, but it's not bothering me.
Yeah.
It's 5% alcohol by volume.
So we might be all very drunk by the end of this.
Goodness. Well, let me take the reins then.
Yeah.
I am drinking a neat scotch, which is my drink of choice, from the Deanston Distillery, a 12-year-old single malt scotch. And I think that it's, what does the bottle say? 46.3% alcohol.
You're a little fancy. Zach also bought his own glasses.
I brought my own
might
glasses.
I say?
Yeah.
Like he's really stepping up the.
He wants to prove himself,
He does. I was going to say.
Like I said, it's the first Sips and Clips After Hours. I feel like I had to start off with a bang. And this is my favorite scotch. It's a distillery that I've visited in the past in Scotland. It's just like, it's a Highland, for anybody that's a Scotch nerd like I am, it's a Highland scotch. The best thing about scotch is that most of them only use a few ingredients, but depending on where it's made, they taste completely different. And I find that totally fascinating.
Interesting.
It's not everybody's bag, but it is mine.
Well, why don't we get into it? So, Shiran, why don't we start off with figuring out how you got interested in the industry and like wanting to be it, and then what kind of made you interested to get involved in IATSE and the union?
So I was born in New York, but I grew up in Israel. When I was 8, my parents who are Israeli moved I moved to Israel. So 8 to 21, I lived in Israel. Most of my school years were there. And in high school in Israel, you get to pick majors, which I think is a really smart thing. And I think they should do that here more for everybody.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because then you don't have to mess around with majors when it's really expensive in college and try to flounder around figuring out what you want to do. We do that in high school. So I majored in theater and I majored in media studies because I didn't want to do anything scientific. And so those were the only two options I could do that weren't scientific. And I loved theater, so I knew I was going to do that right away. And then the only other option I had was media studies. And funny enough, as I was taking those classes, I kind of fell out of love with theater, into love with media studies. And that had a theoretical studies of what has media done to society, and then practical studies of how to be a filmmaker, how to produce, how to direct, how to shoot and edit films or, short films.
How robust were those programs in the high school or the secondary schools?
Well, I happened to go to a high school that was in a pretty poor city that had a lot of grants and donations. And so they had their own 3-camera control room.
Wow.
With a blue screen. Like you could do like a news, thing there.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 editing rooms with Adobe Premiere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it had a lot of donations. I'm not from a poor family, but I just so happened to go to that high school. So while I was studying that in high school, I actually specifically fell in love with editing. I did all of it. I did all the different roles, but editing, I hated all the disruptions and the things you can never control on set. It's never exactly your vision. You have to deal with circumstances beyond your power. And I was just let all that stuff happen. Bring me the tape of what happened, of like the end result. And then let it be just me and the computer figuring it out,
Right.
And that's kind of when I think I decided at 16 that I want to be an editor.
Wow. Did you then go to college for film? Was that in Israel or did you come back?
No.
What happened with that?
In Israel, when you are 18, you have to serve in the army. It's a mandatory military service.
Okay.
And so I figured if I have to serve, why not serve in something that will actually benefit my career?
Oh, cool.
Especially if I know what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So you can apply to these filming units in the military.
Whoa.
And the different divisions have there's like the ground filming unit, the air filming unit, the marine filming unit. And yeah, I think unlike here where I think they contract that out to like a regular production company, in Israel, it's all internal. So they train soldiers.
All part of IDF.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was the editor or one of the editors for the Israeli Air Force filming unit.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't like propaganda videos or anything. It was technical tutorials. Like one time I did a feature-length film on how to take apart an F-16 engine and put it back together.
So do you know how? Have you retained it?
No,
Oh
God,
my
no.
gosh, yeah.
That's so cool.
But at the time, I could totally do it.
Yeah, no doubt. That's cool.
That is, yeah.
And you were on Premiere in the military as well?
No, so the Air Force filming unit was one of the only ones that actually used Avid.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I learned Avid. Is
how fortuitous.
in my service, yeah.
That's
it was very
crazy.
useful for my career.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to work on tutorials that train on safety and, tech and instructional videos like that.
So then once you came back, because you said you were there till 21, right?
Yeah,
Around?
so I got out. I finished my service in 2008, and you get a little grant.
Mhm.
Because, in the U.S., they pay for you to go to college. In Israel, they can't do that since everybody's going, everybody's serving. They can't send everybody to college. So they give you a little bit of money towards school, towards a course.
Okay.
So I took that money and I learned After Effects.
Okay. Wow.
And so I took an evening, like twice a week thing for 6 months. So I became certified in After Effects. And then I worked at E! News in Israel and I edited local celebrity news bulletins there every day. Like I'd get the tape, a little mini DV of the premieres that happened the night before and like the red carpet events. And then I have to cut together like a news bulletin that's 2.5 minutes, lay it off to tape by 4 p.m. to air that night, you know, at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And like do a basic color correction, basic mix all by myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was nuts, but it was great training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a boot camp.
Yeah. Like a boot camp after the boot camp.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so but that allowed me to save up money so then I could move to the US in 2009, summer 2009.
And when you moved to the US, did you come straight to LA or were you in New York for a little bit?
Yeah, straight to LA.
Okay.
We had no more ties in New York. I didn't know anybody here. So I did some Google searches, homework before I moved, long before I moved, and just started Googling post-production houses in LA and like cold emailing my resume and nobody would answer me.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually one guy who was also an Israeli who happened to own a post facility responded. And we had a great phone call and he said, look, I can help you get a job, but if you're not here and you're not taking the job, I get screwed. So move here first and then let me know when you're here. And so I'm like, okay. My dad comes with me for a month to help me find a place to live, a car, and a job. We meet up with this guy and he's like, well, glad you're here, but the economy crashed, so don't look at me.
I was going to ask if you
my
were
God.
affected by everything going on in 08, 09.
Yeah, so 09, I came in summer of 09. I was like, here I am.
Oh my gosh.
And then he's like, sorry. So we just drove around and I hand passed out my resume to addresses of places. Again, nobody really, I think I got one kind of not great job offer and I made a friend that way, but I didn't get any real serious job offers. And
what
then
a time though to go
Totally.
door to door, paper resume.
But you know what? This right now is kind of not a great time either. And so
Right.
I feel like if my story can be any kind of consolation to
of
people,
course. Yeah.
I think, it's just stick things out in tough times. 2 weeks later, he called me back and said, actually, I need somebody for a night shift on a reality clip show. Are you available? And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it's for like a really bad rate and non-union and,
Of course.
And I was like, I will do it. I will do anything.
Job's a job at this point.
What
yeah.
time did you report to work, if you recall?
Like, I think 6 or 7. It had to be before the day people leave so that there can be some transition. And then I would leave at like 2 or 3, depending on when we finished our work.
Wow.
But I also had to like drive over through Runyon Canyon in the middle of the night to hand deliver DVDs to somebody's mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like so scary and I'm dead tired. And
oh
it's
my
like,
God.
yeah. So that was not a great part of the job. But I was so grateful. I ended up working 2 weeks after I got here. Like that's crazy.
Especially at that time, yeah.
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah, and it got me my start. And then I started meeting people, mostly, non-union reality circle, building my contacts. And then I worked up to daytime and then quickly to editing. And then I moved to another reality company. And 3 years I was in unscripted television.
What shows were you working on?
Oh, God.
So it's like these reality companies, which I'm also like, I come from reality. They have a tendency to like bounce you around to different kinds of shows.
Yeah.
And most of my experience is in true crime, but occasionally they'd be like, hey, they need somebody on like the Mama June show for like a month. I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll work on this for a month.
Which company were you working
Well, at first, so it was Mighty Oak Entertainment, and then
Okay.
later I was at Bischoff Hervey Entertainment. That first guy that I found through Google helped me find both of those jobs.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And so, yeah, what kind of shows? Shows you have never heard of.
Try me.
So whenever I talk to people who are unscripted and who came from the really, not the glamorous unscripted shows, but the ones, the ones I'm talking about. Then we do a little competition of who did the most vague, unknown, unscripted show.
The most vague ones, yeah.
Yeah. Or the most out there, like niche, random type, So this is called, I always win with this one. So it's Hulk Hogan's Micro Championship Wrestling. It's where Hulk Hogan takes little people on the road and teaches them how to wrestle It was
my
for True
God.
TV. It was one season only. I can't imagine why.
Well, I was gonna say, how did they not renew this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then I think my parents flipped through the TV and ran into it once, and then they told me, "This is what you spend your time on." No offense. There are some amazing unscripted shows out there, so I am not knocking this genre at all.
Yeah.
The craft can be found against all forms of editing.
But I did not work on such shows.
All right. So you're in, I'm assuming that this is how you got into the union.
Kind of, sort of. So this is another thing I'm hoping other people can learn from is my path was not linear. And I think most people's path is not linear.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Definitely.
not a straight line up. It's a back and forth, like one step forward, two steps back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these different things, criteria, either shaping the content you want to work on, shaping the conditions you want to work in, or the people, or if it's a union or not. So I was at Bischoff Hervey Entertainment, and then I was kind of, it's funny. So 3 years I worked in unscripted, and I went to Israel to visit my family once a year.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a great opportunity, family and friends, I should say, so they don't get upset at me for not saying it. But it provides a really great check-in when you do that home visit.
Oh, yeah.
So like everybody's like, what are you working on? What are you working on? And I was like, I'm assisting in unscripted. I'm assisting in unscripted. I'm assisting in unscripted. And so I'm like, wait a minute, this is not what I want to be doing. Like, again, no shame. It's just not what the goal that I set out. So I realized that I have to course correct. This is not going to just correct on its own. So I was at Bischoff Hervey, and I went to the executive producer, and I told her, listen, I'm going to finish this run out, and then I'm gone. I'm leaving. And she's like, you're leaving, but you don't have anything lined up? And I'm like, exactly. Yeah. So you just kind of have to save up enough to be able to afford to take some time off. Because I realized I really need to reset my network of people, my circle, because it was all unscripted, non-union circle, and I could just keep going job after job, and it wasn't linear after that either. Like,
yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you then make that jump?
So like I wrapped up on that at that company, and then I went to like meetups, and I think Editors Lounge and Lassie Pug and Blue Collar, and I did all that stuff. And then I still needed work, and so I jumped back to unscripted, and then so I applied to the ACE internship program.
Okay.
I didn't get it because 1/3 of their training is in unscripted. So they're like, you're overqualified.
Okay.
But they invite all the applicants to a series, and I made friends there, and I learned a lot at the lecture series. And I need to put a pin in this and explain the side quest story for a second. The After Effects school that I went to in Israel, I was still on their mailing list, even though I had moved here. And one day they emailed me or emailed the list and said, this big shot Hollywood editor is coming to visit and going to talk, and you should all come. And so I reached out to the head of the After Effects school and said, hey, I'm in LA. Could you like introduce us or like in an email or something, so that maybe when he comes back from Israel, he'd be willing to meet with me?
That's smart.
So this is like one of the Marvel main editors, Dan Lebenthal.
Oh, cool.
Okay, yeah.
His name is Dan Lebenthal. He's in Israel giving a talk. And so she tells me, just reach out to him on Facebook. And I'm like, wait, what?
I can do this?
That's a thing?
Taking notes here.
And it's not, well, you know, I don't know if with him in my work anymore, not a lot of people are responding on Facebook these days. But at the time, it was like mind-blowing that it wouldn't be considered rude or weird if someone, And I think the cold outreach thing was still new to me. And so I said, yeah. So I write him this long message and I introduce myself and I'm like, we have these mutual friends and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I send it and I wait a month and I don't hear back. And then I don't know why. I usually never do this, but I just copy and pasted, sent it again. In case you missed it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I get a one-line response. Sorry, I don't speak Hebrew.
Oh my gosh.
Funny.
So because he was in Israel and his name is Dan Lebenthal and he, I just assumed that he knew Hebrew. And so I wrote the whole message in Hebrew.
Oh.
And,
Wow.
And so he doesn't, so that's why he didn't respond, I guess.
Yeah.
So I translated all of it,
Mhm.
sent it again, and he was like, oh, that's great. And he invited me and we had a chat and we stayed in touch. And then, he became kind of my mentor for a while.
Wow.
I love that.
Okay, so now we're going back to the ACE internship program lecture series. He was one of the guests at one of the 3 nights.
Okay, yeah.
And they assigned us to introduce the panelists on the 3rd night. And they assigned us in pairs. And somehow I got matched up to introduce him. And I already knew him.
So
Yeah, yeah.
And so instead of introducing him, I was like, just look him up on IMDb. He's amazing. I told this story.
Yeah, yeah.
And
my
that kind of
gosh.
like reignited our, friendship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my
Elf,
gosh.
have you seen it? Iron Man, have you seen it?
I know, like,
Come on.
yeah. And then later, he kept in touch. He's always trying to promote more diversity in post, and at the time more women. And he kept asking me, "What are you cutting? What are you working on?" And I didn't want to show him anything unscripted. It just wasn't relevant to what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also cutting short films for film students
Great.
on the side.
Okay,
So
yeah.
finally I had a short film I was really proud of that I had done the first cut for, and I sent it to him and he's like, "Oh, that's pretty good. By the way, I'm starting an indie film and I need an assistant editor starting this Friday. Are you
Wow.
available?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm available."
Yeah. Oh my
Absolutely,
gosh.
I was
yes.
not available, but I became available.
Yes, you did. I love
Yes.
that.
And
Yes.
and it was me and him for like a year. on and off.
Wow.
And he taught me this he was my first scripted teacher, basically.
Yeah.
What was the film?
At first it was called The Jesuit, and I was called There Are No Saints. It was this Mexican-American action movie. It came out if you look it up, it came out way not in the year that we did it.
Sure. They sat on that one for a little while.
Yeah. It was a great learning experience for me. And he, it was an indie movie that his usual assist didn't want to do it for that rate. And I totally agree. And it was a great opportunity for a new up-and-comer. And, they got what they paid for because I had never done turnovers before. I didn't know,
Great
imagine,
time for an up and comer though.
Yeah, no
Like,
doubt.
yeah.
And imagine your first sound turnover being to Skywalker sound.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, yeah, dying.
Oh my god.
I'm dying. I had to call a bunch of friends to help me through it because I'm like, what are feed and frames? Please explain. I don't understand.
Gosh.
You didn't have to read to set up the project, did you?
I'm just going to say very quickly that they originally set up the project in Premiere in Mexico, and then they automatic duck devved it all to Avid.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that process stripped all the source time code. So then I had to overcut the whole movie when we were turning it over to online. But anyway, that's the you can.
Oh my gosh.
So you got a crash course and a half.
Yeah.
on-
Yeah.
But you know what? That was great for him because he knew I had all this reality TV experience. He
Yeah.
knew I knew my way around an Avid
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the server and overcutting. Technically I was fine. It was the scripted stuff that I needed to learn. Great friendship, great learning experience. And then I did another indie film after that. And that also took a long time. Both these indies were going and going and going, and there's no end and there's no distribution in sight. So I'm like,
yeah.
I really miss the TV days where my things actually made it to air.
Right.
Because I'm now doing 2 years and I have nothing to show for it.
Right.
Did they give you an opportunity to cut any scenes or was it still like you were just trying to learn the assist side of things?
I think in that time I was still very much focused on learning the scripted assistant workflow. I also worked I did, and then after that second indie film, I jumped back to TV, but this time scripted TV. I did a little Fear the Walking Dead interstitial with Chris McCaleb, and he did actually let me cut because he's been mentored by Kelly Dixon. He's a big fan of mentoring his assists. Shout out to Chris. So I did a bunch of scripted TV shows assisting, and that culminated with being the lead assistant editor on season 1 of Netflix's The OA in 2016.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I was like, okay, I want to edit now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even during, I did those indie films, and then I wanted, I want to be in the union now. And so then I paused the scripted stuff, went back to night shift unscripted to join the union.
Well, that was then my next question. So that's how you ended up becoming in the union
Yeah.
by just going back to.
Yeah, it's like a zigzag, you know? It's
Yeah.
like a dance. So like I did unscripted night, then unscripted day, then scripted day, then night unscripted union, then scripted union indie, then scripted union TV, but it's this web interstitial thing. Then it was scripted TV union, but I was only fill-in.
Oh my God.
And then it was scripted TV union assistant editor on a long season. And then I wanted to edit. So then it's back to indie, non-union, from home on Premiere feature film that I cut.
Yeah, jeez. Were you working on these indie films as well as doing a day shift on like unscripted, or were you just full-time?
No, I think I did it either before or after, kind of paused my unemployment to do it. I kind of worked it around my unemployment, but I didn't do it during. I think I would not do a good job on my first feature film if I tried to double dip that. Maybe it may have overlapped when I was in like a turnover stage or something.
Okay, yeah.
But not when I was actively, especially that film.
Okay.
Because that film was shot in New York. The directors were in Boston. This was in 2017. I was cutting it remotely before it was cool. And they kind of vaguely wrote a script. They wrote more of an outline. And it was about, there was a transgender non-actor in it. So they shot it kind of a little bit doc style to make her feel comfortable.
Interesting.
And not
It's a lot of verite, kind of.
A little bit, yeah. But there was this overall, it was just, they told me, don't read the script. It's not what we thought.
So strange.
So my friend that I met at a bar said, oh, I have this thing, but I don't have time to deal with this. Do you want to try out for it? And I was like, sure. And they were like, okay, but we don't know you, so can you do a test for us? I thought it would be a really great way to cut my teeth on cutting a first film. So I did the scene, and I did a sequence for them just to kind of show them a little taste of what I imagine rearranging it would be. And then they're like, oh my God, please do this. You know, this is great.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to kind of get into the whole union IATSE thing. So I think as someone who doesn't know what any of this is, maybe they're just getting into the industry, and they're like, oh, there's a union? What is that? Could you just kind of give an general explanation about what IATSE is, and then maybe what Local 700 is? I think there's also that kind of confusion of like, Local 700, like MPEG, I thought is that not IATSE? I thought you were part of IATSE, and all of that stuff.
So the IATSE is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. And so it includes the theater people and the convention crews and trade show crews and film and TV people.
This covers, it's all across the United States?
United States and Canada. That's where the I in an international comes from. It's the United States and Canada. And so, yeah, we are one local of many locals that are part of IATSE. Specifically in Hollywood, we're part of 13 locals that bargain together, and they're based on craft. So the Grips have their own local 80. The cinematographers are across the street from us, our office. That's local 600. Art directors, local 800. So there's 13 of them.
So IATSE is sort of like the umbrella.
That's right.
Of all of these different locals, specifically in LA, the 13 locals.
Yeah, and the Animation Guild is the an additional, the plus one of the 13.
Okay. Now, Local 700 is Motion Picture Editors Guild.
That's right.
Is that correct? Okay.
And it is national.
It's national, right?
Not all
And
of
it's
these
national.
locals are national.
Okay.
Some of them are
See,
only.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Some of them are only in California.
Okay. So then I know that it's not, they're not quite the same thing, but then can you also explain what ACE is? Because I feel like people also are like, well, what's ACE? And you're like, well, it's a separate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
ACE is an honorary society that is meant to elevate publicity and knowledge of the craft of editing in the world. I'm actually a member of ACE from the movie I just told you about.
Oh, wow.
Because it was nominated for an ACE Eddie Award.
Oh, cool.
Like way later in my life.
Oh,
Wild.
my gosh.
Yeah. So basically, to make the long story short, COVID hit. HBO Latino, I don't know what happened, but maybe they needed more content and they bought this movie.
Wow.
And so I was able to submit it for
What was the movie called?
Lupe.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so
is getting into ACE and getting the letters after your name, I think in TV it's like a certain amount of hours you have to have cutting, right?
yeah, it's a very long process.
Okay.
I guess I'll say if you're nominated for an Eddie, it's a different process than if you just
Wow.
submit.
Okay.
And so I'm somehow found myself ACE editor now, and had to get over some imposter syndrome about that. But
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I was gonna touch how you became an ACE member.
well, I
So-
figured we've already gone through the evolution of this movie, so I might as well finish.
Go
the-
for it.
perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, ACE is not connected to MPEG, although there is
Yes.
some overlap on the members involved.
Right.
But
It's not a specific. It's not a union.
No, it's an
like,
honorary
organization.
It's an honorary society, just like the cinematographers have ASC.
Right.
So it's definitely separate, and it's worldwide. There's like ACE branches in London.
Yeah, I know there are some who have ACE and then the BFE British, and then there's Canadian cinema editors.
Oh,
and
right.
I think that
Yeah.
it's interesting that you can be an American and have the BFE and the CCE and that after your name as well.
Yeah, gotta catch them all like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just collecting letters.
So could you why if you were trying to kind of tell someone like, yeah, you should get involved in the union, they're like, well, why? I don't see what's the benefit.
Well, a union provides protections in the workplace and improved conditions. And I kind of felt it on my own skin when I worked a non-union unscripted. There's no overtime. It's all flat. There's no meal penalties. So if they want to make you work through lunch, they can. There's no retirement plan, no health care, and not much you can do if you're on a freelance job and the boss is being abusive. Try to take them to small claims court, see how that works. And especially in downtimes like this, they could really take advantage of you if you fall into the wrong hands.
Right. I think it is important to note too that I don't think many people know that all of our health insurance and retirement and pension are coming from the union, because in a usual, in a normal work environment, you're giving health insurance from the company, right?
Yeah.
But in the industry, there's not really that doesn't really exist.
Right, because normally, like in a normal job, you'll get health and pension through a company because you're working there long enough. But imagine how, you wouldn't be able to do that because we're jumping from job to job.
Right.
So, a long time ago, a bunch of fellow people, industry people like us came together and be like, what if we start a union and have this umbrella where all these employers, these groups of studios, they all agree to pay into the same plan so that we can jump from show to show and still accrue towards the same pension and healthcare. I'm so grateful for that because I don't think we would have a good healthcare plan in our situation as freelancers. I think it's pretty rare these days in the country in general to have that kind of healthcare plan that's so flexible in terms of who you can work for.
Yeah, I remember when I got my health plan, the papers for me to choose which health plan I wanted with the industry. I was new to all of the health plan stuff, so I was going through the different plans with my mom, being like, well, this one gives me this one. And I was like, yeah, the deductible for this is $0. And she was like, what? No, that can't be true. I was like, no, it says it's $0. And she was like, well, I mean, that's really good. I was like, I've heard that it's really good.
It is really good.
People don't really quite realize how good we have it until we don't have it. And I'll tell you, I'm also from a country that has social health care, that has public health care for everybody. So I'm like, wait, what? I need to make sure I have this now and that I continue to work to keep health care? What is this?
Yeah.
And specifically with, I have 2 kids. So for me, if I were to join the union, I've also heard that the healthcare in specific is you can add your children to your healthcare plan for pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's like, I think, $25 a quarter or something.
I mean,
Wow.
shoot.
That
Yeah.
sounds, and I don't even have kids, and that sounds amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's incredible, and it's what you get with collective bargaining when a lot of people come together to ask, for better. And I think, early on in my career, I was taken advantage of. I was underpaid. I was overworked. And, sometimes abused, either, verbal sexual harassment or, bad attitudes from bosses. And I kind of promised myself that I wanted to, like, when I'm in a position to do so, to try and make people coming after me have a better experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that kind of leads into this next question of what kind of enticed you to get so involved in it.
Yeah, I kind of almost tripped and fell into that.
Okay, well, tell us about it. Tell us about it.
So I made a lot of friends on Facebook groups, industry Facebook groups. And I think someone who I met through that Facebook group, who didn't really even meet me personally, happened to be on the board of the Editors Guild and just kind of nominated me without asking.
Wow.
And
They believed in you.
twice. Like, one time I was not
Wow.
eligible. Yeah, so I joined, and then you have to be a member 2 years to be able to run. So they
Wow.
said, so I joined, and then they said, congrats, you're nominated. And they're like, actually, you're not eligible yet. And then the next year was, congrats, you're nominated, and now you can run.
Did you know the second year that you were being nominated too, or was it just the first? Was it just the first year that you didn't know, or
No,
was it
I
both
think
years?
both years, because they don't say who nominated you.
I was going to say, do you know, or is it
Okay.
still a mystery?
And I did not. Well, I think I have a good guess.
Okay. You've never asked them.
Yeah, and it might have been. I'm not sure if it was multiple. I was a pretty outspoken person on Facebook, and maybe I'll still am a little bit, but
No, it's your job.
But I don't know about that. So they nominated me, and I had no clue what that even means. I was like, cool,
Yeah.
maybe that'll help me. I don't know. I'll just do this thing and see what happens. I think I barely made it to the deadline to write a statement. Because I didn't go to any union meetings. I was not in committees. I had no clue what any of this was.
Wow.
And then somehow I accidentally won.
Wild.
That's so cool. How
It was-
now? How long? How
It
long
was
have
a
you been?
year. It was 2017.
Okay.
It was
okay.
a year. I think it was a year with a pretty low voting turnout, or I don't know what it was. But anyway,
Don't use that as an excuse. Don't be
You
like
earned that position.
you earned
were
it.
elected.
Okay.
you were outspoken enough on Facebook that people were like, this woman,
Yeah.
I
she's
don't
got
know.
something to say.
I don't want that to be my legacy. Yeah, so I ran and I got in, and then I started going to these meetings and learning, and mostly just listening to and trying to get a grasp of what we do as a board. And it took me almost 3 years, maybe 2.5, to really understand what this all is. But I was also seeing that some of my friends or people I knew in the community were losing healthcare because they like fell short by like 5 hours or 10 hours or something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's devastating.
Yeah.
I was like, there is no like buffer system. Like, it's just a hard line. You lose 5 hours. That's it. You lose half a year of healthcare for you and your family. Like, that's pretty harsh. And so I was like, you guys know who Kathy Rappola is?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we had like this hangout, and I was asking her, hey, you know how people lose their healthcare sometimes? It's kind of, I wish there was something we could do about it. And because I was new to all of this, I just thought that she calls the shots, that she's the head of the union. Maybe she could do something about it. And her response was, yeah, maybe the board could do something about it. And I was like, it's like that Spider-Man meme where she's pointing at me and I'm pointing at her.
yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like. And that to me was a game changer, because that really educated me on what our job is as a board. We're not just there to listen and nod our head and go home. We can actually affect change. We can make a difference. That really fired me up,
With great
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know. I didn't really know.
That's cool. In an instant, you figured out, like, oh, I can say something at the meeting, and then
Yeah. She does some things, but we work together.
Right. Yeah.
And she is hired by the board, and the board are ultimately lead decision makers. And so I got to work. I made a Facebook group This was back in when there was a lot of work. I made a Facebook group where people could join who wanted to help people with hours, and people who had or who needed hours could like message me, and I'd post on their behalf if they're embarrassed, and I'd just say unscripted editor needs 20 hours or scripted editor needs 5 hours. And then I'd be able to matchmake. And I helped a bunch of people like that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And then like I built a case to the board and said, hey, I did this on my own with a DIY Facebook group. Let's do this for real on the website. Because imagine how many more people we could help if the website did this.
That's what's on the website that says like if you're 100 hours or less to post. Oh my God, that was you. That's crazy.
So the member to member section of the website came from researching and then proposing something, and then they did it.
Wow. I found that like recently because unfortunately, I am not that close, but I'm about to lose my healthcare from just because of all of the crazy times. But I did find like, oh, if you're short on hours, and I read that it was like, oh, you have to have like you have to need 100 hours or less in order to qualify. But I like looked into it a little bit. I was like, well, this is actually really helpful to know in case I am in a situation where I might lose it because I'm missing 30 hours or whatever. Like, when that's crazy.
When I was doing it myself, the stories I saw happen before my eyes were incredible. There was somebody who had cancer who needed the healthcare to keep their cancer treatments going.
Goodness.
There was somebody who his wife was about to give birth and he was going to lose his healthcare right before the birth. And we made it happen, and he got to keep his healthcare. It like there's some incredible stories out there that nobody knows.
Oh my gosh.
My jaw dropped because
mine too. I
can't imagine being like 38 weeks and like you're about to lose your health care. Like, goodness gracious.
Oh, but God. And then what I saw is so many of our members stepping up and wanting to help people they don't even know.
Yeah.
And I just had this feeling, and like it was verified that our community is awesome.
Yes.
The post community, just the heart on these people. It staggers me every time.
Even on one of the Facebook groups, I don't know if this is even possible. I'm sure that you've seen it, but the people who do want to help others who are going to lose their health care because of these times, who have like way too many hours, and people like commenting and being like, is there any way that you can like I have like over 1,000 hours and can I give these to people who need it?
Yeah.
And, I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than that, but I'm just saying like the show of people that want to help other people. It is crazy. It's insane.
It's amazing. It's well, I'll just chime in here real quick and say, no, you can't donate hours to somebody, unfortunately, but there's a reason for that. And that's because the overflow of your hours are purposely meant to subsidize the plan for everybody. So if we all had to each work the hours we need for our specific healthcare plan, it would be way more than $450 every 6 months. And so,
I see,
so all those people working a ton of overflow hours, that's subsidizing the plan. So in a way, they are giving their hours to everybody. And so that's not an answer everybody likes to hear, but that's the truth.
Right.
But I encourage people to maybe, if they need a break and want to take time off, and maybe look at the MPI hours alert and see who needs a week's worth of hours, who has the right experience. Maybe they can fill in for you.
So sorry, I'm just looking at.
No, please. I'm sort of like at a loss too. Like,
I know. I'm like, where do I go from here?
Well, I'm just saying that's something that and I wasn't even, when I started doing this, I wasn't even a board member. I was just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
It's just an example of what a regular member could just like, they want to see some change happen.
Yeah.
They could just start doing stuff and try to start the wave. You know what I mean?
So in your position as a board member, what exactly do you do? Like on a day-to-day basis, I guess. So maybe not even a day-to-day basis, but like at meetings that you guys are having, are you giving these suggestions, or are you like just talking with everybody, trying to figure out what else you guys can do to be better, or what exactly is the role of a board member?
Well, I'll backtrack a little bit and say a lot of the work happens on the committee level.
Okay.
And all active members can totally join committees and based on your interests. editorsguild.com/committees. And if you if you don't have time for a full committee, you can do the editorsguild.com/volunteer.
There you go.
That's just like specific tasks based on availability. So most of the work happens there. And then when they need funding approval, then they'll go to the board. So we meet once a month. We'll get a report from the National Executive Director. Kathy just retired, so it's Scott George. We'll get other reports, committees, or efforts. We recently did a Get Out the Vote effort for national elections.
Oh, yes.
Now there's a whole effort for Keep California Rolling for the tax incentives.
Right, yeah.
And so we're getting regular updates about that. Any staff hirings that we need to weigh in on.
Okay.
What they're going to get paid. If we need to interview any of them,
Staff hirings in terms of hiring for the guild or hiring for, okay.
And any committee work that needs approval. Like if they need, we approve their budgets once a year. And if they have this like program or special effort that they need more money for.
What kinds of committees exist already?
Let's see. So there's the newest one is the Emerging Technology Committee, which is the committee that goes over all the new AI and machine learning technology and examining them. What are the consequences of them towards their classifications? How are they going to shift the way we work? Or if there are any threats on our jobs or on our workloads or, on our staffing, and advise the board and the National Executive Director, and also help train our members on what's coming so that those members are doing God's work, honestly, reading white papers of new like tech companies that are releasing AI stuff. That's that committee. There's archive committee. They interview a lot of our veteran members, their life stories, before it's too late, and for the archive. So we have
I love that.
their legacy,
I do too.
Recorded. There's the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And
Great,
they have it's a huge committee with a bunch of subcommittees: African American, Pan-Pacific Asian, Latino. There's the Disability and Accessibility Committee, which focuses on people with disabilities and impairments and how to make our guild more accessible. Someone just messaged me today saying, I'm experiencing hearing loss and I now have to adapt how I do sound design.
Yeah, wow.
And I can't be the only one dealing with this. We should do a panel about it. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Let me connect you to the head of that committee.
That's great.
But we should try to keep them in mind whenever we have a town hall meeting and have captions on,
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. And then there's the LGBTQIA steering committee, Young Workers, which I'm the co-chair of. Young Workers West, that's for educating and empowering new and young members. The AFL-CIO defines young workers as 35 and under. I don't really care.
Zach just missed it.
Disqualified in 2
I don't
weeks.
To me, it's not really about you. It's about who are you looking after, who's coming up behind you. And we have plenty of people who are not in that. I'm not in that age range anymore. So it's more about who you are looking after and who you're trying to empower and educate. And we're kind of like the entry-level committee because people join us and they don't know what they want to do. And then we kind of introduce them to the other committees and then they end up going and chairing or being elected to the board or doing this, we're kind of fortifying the guild's future.
A lot of
stuff.
Little a lot of little committees. We kind of have another kind of a large question, so take your time with answering. I think the biggest thing too is negotiations, I'm sure. Especially because, correct me if I'm wrong, it's every 3 years that we're renegotiating our contract.
For the basic agreement. There are
For the basic
multiple agreements. There are different agreements. Some of them are facility based, and and there's the also other nationwide contracts like the low budget theatrical and the pay TV, which is HBO, and those are separate. The basic agreement is every 3 years. I think the others are every 3 years, but it's not at the same time.
Okay. So I guess if you can kind of, explain to us the negotiations of, what exactly are we negotiating? What are we, who are we negotiating with? I think that there's some people who don't understand.
Is it the board going to the
is
table?
It the board? And then how the actual negotiating, as Zach said, is the board going to the table? All of those kind of things.
Yeah, I'll go into the details that I can. The IATSC negotiates with the AMPTP, the Association of Motion Picture Television Producers, something like that. Yeah.
Correct.
And is it safe to say that those people are generally like heads of studio? Is that sort of, or is
It's the studios.
It is the studios. Okay.
It is the studios and the streaming, the Netflix, the Amazon, the Apple. Like they used to not be part of them and then they joined them.
Okay.
So now it's basically all the big players. And so we negotiate with them every 3 years. There's a bargaining committee created. There's a bargaining committee for the basic, the part that all the locals share, like the healthcare and pension plan. And then there's a local bargaining committee, which I guess often is mostly board members. All committees are appointed by the president. You can ask to be on them, but the president ultimately makes the decision.
Okay. And how often do the local, are they also 3 years, or are they a different amount of time than the basic agreement?
Well, so a little bit of history. In 2018, that was Kathy's first basic agreement negotiations after she took leadership of the local. We had some sort of local negotiations that was very truncated to like a day, I think. But at the end of it, because our local had big grievances with the contract that was being passed over there, Kathy didn't recommend ratification of that contract and created kind of a uproar in the industry that we were the 700 were kind of the only ones out not recommending the contract. So like our local negotiations there wouldn't have mattered anyway because we kind of didn't agree to the contract in general.
Right. Like the basic agreement in general. So it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it passed anyway without us. But in 2021, that was during the pandemic. So they kind of skipped local negotiations to kind of try and expedite the contract negotiations.
Okay.
Expedited did not happen because we almost there was a strike authorization vote. So
I remember I was on the Batman at the time. It was the Friday before they had to decide whether we were going to strike or not. And so you see like the VFX people, they were bringing like their monitors home, like, and I was like leaving for the day and it was like, I might see you Monday or I'll see you when I see you. And it was like a very weird, like, we're leaving for the weekend and we're either going to not have work or we're going to come back Monday. Like it's like nothing happened. And
it was, it was
passed.
crazy, crazy times.
Yeah.
And the vote result for the strike authorization was unprecedented too. It was like 98% or something.
Yeah. I think it was a lot.
It was a lot of really first times for IATSE in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There was been, I think overall in the past, 5 years, there's been a real awakening of the importance of unions. And so I'm really grateful for that.
So can you divulge, are you able to kind of give us like an idea of how the negotiations work?
Yeah, I mean, I can go into general terms of how it works. Yeah. The first day, both sides present their overall their proposals and kind of explain them all. And then both parties kind of depart into their caucus rooms and discuss amongst themselves. And eventually there's like counters back and forth. And if there's anything kind of needs clarification or is in contention, there might be a sidebar to kind of like, because let's not call everybody back. Let's just put in a room the people who are relevant to this proposal.
Okay, yeah.
And kind of like in a Word doc where you're collaborating and somebody crosses off something and somebody adds something else. And it's kind of like that. And then we kind of go over in detail what they changed, what we changed,
Okay, yeah.
And then there's 3 moves you could do.
And when you say like in a Word doc changing, you're talking about like the contract, like you guys are looking for the contract?
Not, like if it was the contract, it'd be like
proposal.
This huge...
I'm sorry, the proposal.
It's just the language, like specifically the language that's being either proposed or that's changed or former language that's trying to be crossed off. Or, You know, it's just those parts.
Got it.
And even that later needs to go through lawyers to adapt it to the contract language.
Got it.
Do lawyers sitting in with you at all, or is it just...
They're available for consultation, but they really more come into play after we're done. But there's 3 moves you can do. You can counter. Like,
Mhm.
let's say I want $1 million and you're like, no. So I have a couple of options, right? I can hold, which means I just tell you again, I want $1 million. Or I can counter and say, I want $500,000, and see how,
Yeah.
Or I can remove it from I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay.
So those are the 3 moves you can there probably something else that I'm missing, but that's
Right.
the general. I either hold on my proposal and give it to you again,
Mm-hmm.
or I counter with some of a sort of a compromise, or I just remove it, withdraw.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the basics of how it works.
And then you guys just do that for however long that
Yeah.
you may need to.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, I don't know if it's different for WGA and SAG. I would guess it might be a little bit different, but the reason I bring them up is because they did go on strike. So my guess is that the points that they were holding to, the AMPTP, just were not wanting to give.
Yeah, I
And
think
so that is why that happened.
Yeah, I think there was, I mean, I cannot pretend to know what happened there, but
Mhm.
it seemed like they were very far apart.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think there were a lot of proposals that were very important to them that they were not willing to either counter or withdraw.
Okay.
But this is all my just,
Right. Yeah.
guessing, because I'm not part of that. But if the distance is too far apart, just like for
Mhm.
us in 2021,
Right. Yeah.
the distance was so far apart that we had to walk away from negotiations and call for a strike authorization vote. And the strike authorization vote caused the producers to move on things that they didn't move on before.
Okay. And what exactly, can you also just explain what a strike authorization vote is?
Yeah, it's basically empowering the leadership to be able to call a strike. You cannot call a strike unless you have a strike authorization vote.
Okay.
Members need to vote on if they would strike for this contract. So you need that approval from membership to move forward. And you do not want a bad voting result on that,
Mm-hmm.
because that is bad news for your union leverage. Because
Right,
if you
yeah.
don't have a strong turnout, then that means that you're not accurately representing the members. And then the producers are going to be like, screw you, we're going to do what we want, And so I'm very glad that that was not the case.
Yeah. And I think this year too, it was similar, or last year I should say, it was similar, right? Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
was the strike authorization vote and it was pretty
SAG
overwhelming as well.
I think SAG even did the strike authorization vote before even going into negotiations.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Because they were already, the writer's strike had already begun
Yeah. and
Right. Yeah.
before their
That's right.
negotiations
Yeah, I
began.
think they were so fired up that they
Yeah.
were like, we're just going to. But, there's plus and minuses to that strategy, because you are going in with a very specific message.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it may be seen as, oh, you're not coming in with a real interest to make a deal here. You're just going to go on strike anyway.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
That's just this is my personal opinion, and it's not anybody's official thing. It's just what I,
Yeah.
how I see it. But don't come at me.
No, yeah, I think it's good though to hear we love hearing about the personal opinions of others, and we do try to preface that it is their opinion, their experience. It might not be for everybody. It might be someone else might have a different opinion. Someone else might have a different view of it, but it's still good to hear the view, whether or not,
It is an amazing show of strength and unity going into negotiations. I'll give them that for sure. But my question is, a strike authorization vote on what? Because you don't know what the contract's going to be yet, because you didn't start
Right.
negotiating. So what is it that they're voting on?
Right. Yeah.
So you said in 2021, there was a strike authorization vote. What were the terms that were in dispute then as well?
I think it was a similar, we had a big deficit in the healthcare plan that they needed to
Gotcha.
fill. There was the Rust tragedy that happened. So
That's right.
So
Yeah.
everybody was all about the safe working hours and safety on set and not dying on the job or on the way to. There was another death that happened during these negotiations on my show, actually.
Wow.
Goodness.
One of the grips, I think, or with the gaffers, he passed away. He died on the way home. after a very long day.
That's right. I read about that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So it's kind of a lot of the same things that come around every time. It's reasonable hours, better wages, sustainable pension and healthcare, and even trying to improve pension and healthcare, because the pension, I'll just say, once you retire, the amount that you get is kind of set, and then it doesn't adjust to inflation. So it's up to other people coming after you to negotiate improvements. And you're retired, so you can't vote anymore. So it's like this whole constantly looking out for the retirees, and also like making sure that the retirement's shored up enough for those future generations to be able to retire. And healthcare, because healthcare has gotten more and more expensive. So there's things that have had to change. We've changed pharmacies and stuff that people are not always happy about. Trying to actually make improvements on the healthcare plan and not just shoring up deficits.
And back then you said 700 was sort of maybe got a bad rap because it was a dissenting opinion.
In 2018, 3 years prior.
In 2018. But recently, I guess with the 13 sort of negotiating together, is it as easy as one of the locals holding out to kind of like make everybody go on strike, or is that sort of like an embellishment?
It really depends on the solidarity at the time.
Okay.
But I can't say. It really depends. I will say that in 2021, the locals all stood together to get pay increases for the lowest paid classifications that were part of one of the smallest locals that was with in the 13, Local 871, the script supervisors, script coordinators.
Wow.
So the script coordinators were making the least amount of money of all of the locals. And so all the locals stood together and didn't sign the deal until their needs were addressed.
Wow.
So
it's excellent.
Yeah. It really depends. Some years that hasn't been the case, other years, but I think there's a trend of really building on solidarity. I really been trying to prioritize befriending people and other locals because I want to really learn what their issues are. And I also want them to know our issues because they often don't meet people in post-production.
Yeah. I think majority of the locals in IATSE, though, are people who are in production. Is that correct?
No. Most of the locals in IATSE are theater and stage and stage show.
Oh, so like event, like live event show kind of things. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's, I think, the majority. Maybe someone will come after me, but it's not, the motion picture part is a smaller portion of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And so, it's a huge, it's like 150,000 people.
Wow.
160 now, I think.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But I just kind of want to zoom in a little bit because it's easy to feel like we're so insignificant in this big union or whatever, but we really are. In the end, unions are us. And unions are me or you or someone who just wants to do something and can go and get something done to improve our lives. So I don't want that to get lost in the bigness of that it could feel like sometimes,
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I guess it's time for our Splice and Spew segment.
Splice and Spew.
So a few episodes ago, I spoke about how I got really into this video game called Satisfactory. And I've also recently gotten into the game of Animal Crossing, which I did not think that people were like, Leanne, you're going to love this game. You're going to love this game. And I was like, I believe you. I just don't want to spend the money on it.
Wow. It was like, isn't that like 4 years late?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I am very much late into
that was like a COVID game.
Yep. It is the most boring and yet addictive game I have ever played in my life, because you go into it and you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to like dig up my fossils and I'm going to like collect my things and try and get some money and fish and sell. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. There's nothing else to do. What else is there to do? And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, I kind of really want to play Animal Crossing. And then you go back on it and you're like, there's nothing to do. Why am I back here? And that cycle just repeats. So I don't know what it is about Animal Crossing, but it kind of like has you in like, and it's also so slow. They have to talk. They talk every time you do something, and then you have to continuously like click A and like wait for them to be done. Like there's no quick like come into the shop and then leave. It's like, welcome. We are so and so from the shop. How may we help you today? I'm like, can't I just go in and like sell you something, but you gotta like welcome me every time.
You
And then when
know
I
me
leave-
already. You know me. You've
Yeah.
seen me. We're buddies now.
And then when I leave the first time,
Breaks immersion.
Like the first time that day that I leave, it always stops, and then you turn around and they're like, "Thank you for visiting." I'm like, I don't need that like 3 seconds of like goodbye. I'm like, yes, I know. I was just in yesterday. You don't have to thank me. So that's my
Wow,
spew
this
for the day.
coming from someone who just refreshes The Sims all day. This is angry.
But The Sims, The Sims, you have to constantly be checking them because they're like finishing a task. And it's the Animal Crossing is just, you just go and then you just collect stuff.
I feel like maybe AI is going to fix your problem eventually.
You know what? It might. And then maybe Animal Crossing won't even be
Then it'll be like, "Oh, hey, Leanne, how are you doing? It's been a day."
Yeah, exactly. So that's my spew. It's my spew for the day.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zach.
Okay. Recently, I took my son to a place called Minifigs and Bricks, or Bricks and Minifigs. And for anybody that builds Lego, this is like a cool little shop. They have a dozen of them around the LA area. I love Lego. I have giant Lego boxes full of old stuff since I was a kid, just like so many Legos. Took my son to a Bricks and Minifigs store. I had recently found a bunch of old sets after moving from New York. I was like, you know what? It's time to get rid of these. They've sat in a closet for 2 years. I'm going to sell them. First of all, in-store credit is never great, and it never pays as much as you want it to. But I did take these sets in fully built, and it was fun to rebuild them. I sent them, I gave, yeah, you know what? It's a little bit more. It's like $50 more if I do in-store credit, I'll do it. And then I thought, you know what? There's so many, like, you know, it's whatever is in the store. There's no catalog or whatever. So you have to go to the store and see what they have and all this kind of stuff. But there's a dozen of these. Like, there's got to be some way that I can find a set that I want from when I was a kid or whatever and trade it for these in-store credit and like sort of get the sets that I always wanted as a kid. So I called the other day and I was like, okay, is there a way I can call around to these places and ask if they have this specific set? I was like, oh no, we don't like do that. It's like, oh, well, can I like just go to any store and ask for and redeem my in-store credit? And the answer is no. So whichever one you turn your sets into, that's the one that you can redeem it. But what if one store's better and it's like in Pasadena or whatever? And like, shouldn't they just like live in the computer system somewhere? It doesn't make any sense. So maybe I do have something to be on a soapbox about, because that's bullshit. Like, come on, like let me redeem my old sets, turn them into you. You're going to sell them for full price anyways. Just let me go to any of your stores and redeem the in-store credit. I don't get it.
I agree too. I didn't know that you could do that you could give your old sets in for like credit or something.
Yeah. And you could do cash too, but cash is like it's pretty abysmal.
I had a Lego set when I was younger. I got it at a garage sale. And it was like one of those where you built like this track and the Lego figure was on this car that you pulled back and it went.
Yeah.
And it would go up and off a ramp and like into this little net. Well,
I think I had that
the
set.
missing piece from the garage sale was the fourth pole for the net.
Aww.
And so it never worked because it was like slooped.
Aww.
And I was so upset.
Could you like MacGyver or something in there?
I wasn't that smart yet to like try to figure out what to do. But
I had Legos when I was a kid, and I really wanted to build a human-sized human out of the Legos that I had. So I started with the feet. I had feet, and I got all the way up to like the ankles, and then I ran out of pieces, and then I was like, can you buy me more pieces? And they're like, my parents were like, no, we're not buying you more pieces.
So you got the feet.
So all I had for years and years was a pair of feet and
Oh my
ankles.
God.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And so there went my goal. Eventually I took it all apart, but
Shiran, do you have a splice and spew?
so I had the one that I was gonna do, and then you reminded me of something that happened to me today. So can I do both?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'll do the short one first. So I ordered the new MacBook Air that just came out. I got a custom build, so it came later in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it Friday. I opened it today, and there was a dent on the top of it. A little dent. But still, I was like, damn it. I paid all this money. I'm like, should I return it for a little dent? And then so like my husband's like, yeah, you're take it back. So actually there's one Apple store nearby here. So before I came here, I went there and I take it to the store and they're like, oh, take it back home, call Apple Care and they'll do a return and replace like thing. And I'm like, but I'm at the store.
Yeah.
I'm here. Can't you just take it? Like, why am I taking it back home? I don't get it. Like, and they're like, that's just how it works. You have to do it through the phone. So that's my little rant and rave. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense. No.
But my actual one that I wanted to do is when people tell me the union this, the union is doing that. Othering the union, feel like making it so that they have nothing to do with the union. As members, and I'm talking members, and also them saying, what is the union doing for me? Yeah. And that is something that hurts my heart because, as I've said earlier, you are the union, I am the union, we are the union. It is what we make it out to be. And that's kind of what I've learned is like, if I don't see something that I want, it's on me to go and try and change it. Even as a regular member, like you don't have to be a board member or anything.
I think also as like a member of society.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that you're not liking, it's like up to you and however much that you can, what your capacity is, but to go and like try and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, go out and
An individual can actually change things. And so I just kind of want to remind people that they are the union. If they are not seeing something that they want, it's because they haven't made it yet,
Yeah. Cassidy is splice and spew moment.
My spew is really quick. I hate that donut holes are not the hole and that they're the little like, I don't even know what you call them. It's like donuts have holes and then donut holes are like the little munchkin ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the holes of
they're the
donuts,
negative
though.
space of the hole.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's cool. I think Taoism's cool. They say a vase is useful because of the emptiness inside of it. But I think my favorite donuts are jelly filled. They don't have holes. So.
All right.
I don't know. I'll counter your spew. I love munchkins.
I think we can probably wrap it up now.
Before you cut, there's one story that people are going to yell at me if I didn't tell.
All right. Go
Please.
for it.
In 2023, during the strikes, even before that, I was really trying to get the Editors Guild to create a hardship fund for people who were struggling. And it was a long process of getting people to understand what a hardship fund is, doing a lot of research. Would people donate? Why should we have a fund? Because there's already entertainment industry hardship funds. So it was a lot of work. And then there was also, in 2023, right during the strikes, there was this Labor Day contest that a company called Union Plus was putting on for union activists to write a statement or make a video about what they've done for their community for a chance to win $40,000.
Wow.
So, hey, we're editors, so I think I have a good shot at this. Why not make a video? So I made a video and applied for the contest and won the $40,000.
Wow.
And a trip to Iceland.
Oh my God.
But in my video, I pledged that if I win, the $40,000 is going to help create a hardship fund.
Wow.
And that's what happened. Then the board of directors did a special meeting, approved a hardship fund, the $40,000 seeded that fund, and then other people donated on top. And then in 2024, someone anonymously donated $200,000.
Wow.
So now over 160 people have benefited from that fund, including recent people who were affected by the fires.
That's excellent.
And
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then did you go to Iceland yet?
I did in October. Well, I'll tell you what, we got married in May and I was like, oh, free honeymoon.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was an organized trip it's with a bus
Yeah.
And basically it was us and a bunch of retirees who
Yeah.
were lovely.
Right.
But I wouldn't count that as a honeymoon. So we probably
Right.
need to take another honeymoon.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to take
Yeah.
But the
another-
trip was awesome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sips and Clips. You keep on sipping and we'll keep on clipping. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Sips and Clips is a podcast produced by Leanne McFalls and Michael Schusterman. Graphic by Max Schulman. Sound mixing by Cassidy Legan. Sound editing by Zach Griffin. Follow us on Instagram at Sips and Clips Pod. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.